Thank you, Amruta Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, we will start our class. There's two minutes left. Okay, so does anyone want to give us a recall of what we did yesterday? Anybody? Before we come to this session of ours now. Hare Krishna. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So does anyone have anything that you remember of yesterday?
We discussed about the qualities which a demonic person and a divine person have.
Huh?
And like we listed out the qualities for each of them and how we should behave.
Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else? Any other points that that you recall that we spoke?
We should read Vedas.
Yes, we should live our life as per the injunctions and as per the code of conduct that is given in the Vedas. Okay, great. Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
We should not be greedy.
Yes.
Angry. We should not get angry.
Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Yes, simplicity. Excellent. Simplicity is a very, very important quality for us, particularly for us who are in the stage of adolescence and the grihasthashram, because most of us are there, and therefore simplicity is very, very important. And humility and simplicity is what will fetch us, our ability to kind of stay steadfast on not only on the path of our spirituality, but also it will help us to do well even in the material world. Okay. Anything else?
Fearful.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Like fearlessness.
Huh?
Fearlessness.
Yes, fearlessness is very important, especially if you are going to be, in positions of importance where a lot of things will depend on you, and you following that, having the ability to call out a spade, and making sure that you are not by not saying what you need to say at the appropriate time. It can lead to a host of other issues that would have a larger impact. It can either be an impact on families or on society or a country at large. So we don't know how each one of you will grow up and what are the kind of things that you will get on to be doing. While the Shastra says fearlessness is absolutely an important quality that is needed for a sannyasi, and for those who are on the spiritual on the at the level of a spiritual realization, I do think it's important for us to cultivate it, as we are progressing even in our material life, because fearlessness is one thing that will play a huge will have a huge impact, and will have far-reaching effects on a lot of things that we will get on to be doing in our lives, in whichever walks of life that we choose. Okay. So net, what we did yesterday was all about that divine qualities will lead to liberation. And anything other than the divine qualities, which were the six, undivine or the demonic qualities, or the asura qualities, will lead to material entanglements. And these material entanglements are going to be so deep and so hard to kind of come away from, that it will just follow you into the several cycles of birth and death, and it will be impossible for us to come out of it. So therefore, We are all fortunate that we have this tremendous opportunity that has been accorded to us, to be able to spend time like this together and read these wonderful scriptures of ours, and particularly the Bhagavad Gita, which has been given to us in a very simplified form by Srila Prabhupada. So this is what we need to, adhere to, and never ever think of giving it up. And I told you that, try and spend at least half an hour reading these scriptures every day. It will really help you on the path of contemplation, your reflection. And this is what will actually help you to become better by the day. Okay. So today we are going to be doing this chapter called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So here, this is a question that Arjuna asks. He says, what would happen to those people, or what would they be like in their various actions and activities, those who do not follow the scriptures? Okay. So the Lord goes into the details of them, with respect to the three gunas. He says at the end of the day, it is the interplay of the gunas that kind of really, establish us in our different activities, whether it be sacrifice, charity, austerity, or even our day-to-day behavior. Okay, so this is what the Lord is going to cover as a part of this chapter. So before that, let me do the Mangalacharana. So welcome to the 17th chapter and the second last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita today. So Hare Krishna, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ajnana Timirandasya, Jnananjala Shalakaya, Chakshurum Unmilitam Ena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam, Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome once again. We will.
Mataji, why do not say Radharani's mantra?
Radharani's mantra. I'm just saying a few mantras, picking up a few from this book. But yes, there are a whole lot of mantras that we can always we can also say. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just picking up a few, that's it. But otherwise, there are plenty of mantras I love. I also love a lot of mantras a lot of shlokas from the Bhagavatam. I'll tell you some of my favorite ones. If we have time today, I'll let you know which are those favorite ones. You can always go and pick it up. It's so nice. It is so melodious and it's so easy, to say as well. Okay. So I just pick up, a few which I really like and, and things like that. But yes, go ahead and, memorize them, whichever, you like. But these are some of the main ones I do want to cover, because one is we are paying obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, and then we are paying obeisances to Krishna. We're calling him Kripa Sindhu. I like that. And I'm also paying obeisances to all the great devotees like yourselves who have gathered here today and, and offered this opportunity to us to be discussing this chapter. And then, of course, I offer my obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, because of whom, the entire Mahamantra culture has come about. So my deepest obeisances to him. And then finally, I end with the Mahamantra again. Okay, that's a sequence I follow. Okay. So today, this chapter summary is going to look like this. So it's going to start with the inquiry by Arjuna on the unauthorized worship, because we talked about a lot of forms of worship. So he's actually asking this question for those of us who probably need to understand what it means to be doing the right form of worship. And then Lord Krishna answers that all of this is completely, attached or determined by the modes of nature that all of us are, because we're all formed of these three gunas. And these three gunas determine a host of activities that we do, we think, we perform, and everything. So therefore, the Lord stresses the importance of these gunas, and once again reminding us how important it is for us to be constantly, introspecting and contemplating, which is the only way we can come out of some of the gunas or some of the things, some of the habits of us, which actually will hamper us, not only in our material life, but completely kind of, make us ignorant on the spiritual path. Okay, someone bringing my noise. Sorry, 1 minute. Who's getting the noise? Getting the noise. Devik Shetty ji, I'm going to mute you. Hare Krishna. Okay, very good. Thank you. Sorry, Prabhuji, I had to mute you. You unmute yourself whenever you have a question. Okay. Okay. Now, so I'll get back. I'll get back to once again. This is what happens when I don't know why this is okay. Sorry about this. Okay. Okay. Then he's going to talk about the sacrifices. Sacrifices is the activity and as well as the kind of things we perform, for propitiating, the blessings of the Lord. And then he also talks about three kinds of austerity, austerity predominantly prudence. How do we really, manage our lives with a lot more of determination and prudence. And then he also talks about the austerity in the three modes. Then he talks about charity in three modes. And then we're also going to look at the significance of Om Tat Sat in all the things that we do for the Lord. Okay. So can someone read 17.1? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, please read.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the situation of one who does not follow the principles of scripture, but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in arrogance? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So can you all answer me? If someone does what he likes, how would that person be? In what kind of a guna? Which guna would be predominant in such a person?
Ignorance.
Ignorance, excellent. Okay. Now the Lord said that each one of us, our behavior is accentuated by the gunas that are predominantly present in us. Okay. And that, in fact, not only, reflects in all the activities that we do, but it also has a deep impact on our forms of worship or the way we worship, the way we conduct our worship. Okay. Now, why is worship important? Can you tell me why is worship important? What is important to worship in our lives?
Peace.
Peace. What else?
Disciplining ourselves.
Exactly. So if we don't follow certain things in a certain way, it will absolutely lead us to, complete kind of in a dissonance, not only with the body that we have, but also dissonance with, with every action of us that is likely to impact our relationships and as well as our ability to kind of, set goals and achieve those goals. So that's why it's very, very important in what mode we are and how we cultivate the good habits in us. We don't want to be caught up like, in unnecessary, people just read and read and read. But if you just read and get into, try to get into this knowledge seeking mission, which actually leads you nowhere, but, doesn't help you to practice it, then that is of no use. Yeah. It's good to, seek knowledge in all fields, but ensure that you are also using the knowledge in the right way so that you are able to live life with a lot of peace, as what Mataji said, and as well as, lead your life, with absolute simplicity, because that is what will keep you away from the kama, krodha, and lobha. Because these are constantly, they are a kind of an impediment. Or they are kind of like a speed breaker for our ability, because we all have the ability to get moksha. We all have the essence of the eternal in us, because we are all part and parcel of the eternal Lord. Okay, so therefore we have to ensure how we kind of internalize all that we are studying and also live the life in that rich format which is given to us in the form of these great scriptures, and particularly the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Can someone read 17? Okay, I'll just read the 17.2, the shloka. So, Trivida bhavati shraddha, dehinam sa swabhavaja, satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi, chetitam shrunu. I'll also read 17.3. Satvan nurupa sarvesha sarvasya, shraddha bhavati bharata, shraddha mayo ayam purusho, yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. Can someone read both the translations, please? 17.2 and 17.3.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The Supreme Lord said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about these. 17.3. According to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes of has acquired. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, in verse 2, what the Lord is saying is, he's reminding us again that the modes of nature acquired by us is not just based on, it just comes out of just like that. We are born and then we acquire a certain thing. It's all a carry forward or the carry over of the desires, and as well as the various karma or the activities which the good and the bad that we carry from various births, which could have been in very, 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 very many species of lives that we may have gone through. So that is the one that decides in what kind of mode will be more predominant in us. Is that something that you can recall? Remember, this is something that we've been discussing right from chapter 3 onwards, that each of us carry very many things from the previous births of us, right? And then in verse 3, he says that each one of us predominantly are a part and parcel of that eternal being. But because of the various, the karma that we carry, we get entangled in that particular mode and thereby act in that mode. So does it mean that we cannot come out of it? We can. It just needs that effort for us. We need to do that level of understanding. We need to ensure we are able to get the guidance from the right people. Having the right mentors, having the right guru thereof is very, very important. And more importantly, Prabhupada says your sadhu sangha plays a huge role in molding your thought process, and as well as helping you to stay steadfast on the path of spirituality and worship. Okay, is that okay, everyone?
Yes, Mataji.
So the living being of our worship basically comes from our faith, and the kind of faith we have comes from the mode of nature that is predominant in us. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. 17.4. I'll read the shloka. The shloka goes as, yeah?
Can I read the shloka? Ma'am?
Yeah, okay, read. Hare Krishna.
Yajante satvika devanyakshara kshansi rajasaha pretan bhuta ganashchanye yajante tamasa janaha.
Very good. Can you read the translation as well?
Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Hare Krishna.
So well said. So can you give me, men in the mode of goodness? Why is the Lord saying men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods? This goes back to chapter 6, 7, if you recall any of that from there. Why would he have? Why is he saying the men in the Sattva Guna worship the demigods? Anybody? Demigods. He's saying demigods, the Devis and the Devatas. Recall the Dharma Chakra that we spoke of, the wheel of Dharma. Why do we go to the various demigods?
To get our things done fast.
Exactly. And how are these demigods situated within the whole, within the absolute truth? They're all part and parcel of the Lord. It is just because of their karma or the good karma they did, they are demigods. Because of the karma that we did, we are the marginal entities. We are not we are what we are. Right? So basically those in the mode of goodness, they still have some hankering. They still have some pride. They still have that attachment. So therefore they worship all those kind of entities and gods which help them to get quickly their results. Can you tell me what the mode of passion, why would they worship demons, and what do we mean by demons? In Kali Yuga, who are the demons?
The tantrics.
No, the people. We are demons. So we go and worship some politician or someone who is well off, from whom we want some favors. These are the asuras. The asuras in our Kali Yuga are people like you and me. And each of us, based on what we want from them, we want to kind of, get selfish and greedy, and to get their blessings, we go and worship them. That's what this picture is showing in between. The first picture is of the Devis and Devatas that people go and worship. The second is that. The third one is people in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. I'm sure you know that still, even now, there are several communities that go midnight to the Shmashan Ghat or the burial grounds and sit and worship and things like that. Then there are a whole lot of communities on designated days, on a certain designated day in the year, they go to the burial grounds and offer all kinds of things to all their pitras and all that. And they think that is the only form of worship which will help them to redeem them from any of these karmic activities.
And black magic also.
And black magic, exactly. All the tantrics, yes, yeah, that's right, exactly. Oh my, you all are so wise and so intelligent. Good, thank you so much. I'm deeply indebted to all of you. Okay, so look at that. Look at this. This guy is really doing the black magic, isn't he? Actually, I heard, I believe there's a particular temple in Karnataka. So a friend of mine was saying there's this guy, after he does some kind of a worship to the Kali there, and then he comes with, his body, just half, he just wears a loin cloth and comes, and then with some broomstick or something, and then, with the ash all over his face and all that stuff. And people stand in a queue to ask him about their future. I believe whatever he says comes true according to them. So these are the kind of beliefs that people have. Okay, 17.5 and 6. Somebody.
Mataji, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
Do black magics actually affect?
I don't know, Mataji. When I was as a child, I was always told, on the road you will find people having put some, lemon smeared with kumkum and all. Whereas kumkum is such a holy thing. We use it on, we use it for all holy things and holy rituals at home, and as well as it's used for archana to the gods and stuff like that, right? So as a child, I was always told that, something is like, because those days it used to be a lot. Now, I'm living in a large city, so I don't get to see that. But as a child, when I was living in small towns, I used to see a lot of these things. And sometimes I've also seen some kind of cloth tied up and, put right in the center of the road and all that stuff. So I was always told by my grandparents and my mother saying that, never, go away from them, don't cross them. But as a child, and, some of me and some friends of us, we used to purposely go across it again and again. So we used to do all those kind of naughty things when we were children. I think if something would have happened to me, right? I wouldn't have been alive here today before you, right?
No, Mataji, I have heard that black magic is only affect the person name or for whom the worship is done.
Please,
Black
yeah.
magic.
Abhi to उसमें आप बिलीव मत करो, my dear Bitay and Roy Prabhu, वो सब बंकम है. Can we become greater than God? Can the black magician, decide our fate? Who is he to decide our fate?
No, I do not believe. I have listened that.
I know, but can they say? I mean, let them waste their time. They're all in the mode of ignorance. They are mudas. They are naradamas. They'll never ever come up in their lives, right? So
they believe in Lord Kali.
I don't know who they believe, but Kali Mata is not bad. All of you in Bengali, you worship Kali, right?
No, the work which is done by them is bad in the bad means by the God.
One who thinks bad for the other, it will affect him only. It will not affect anyone else.
That only.
In Tamil, there is a saying. It's called. There's a gentleman. There's a very learned man by the name Pattanatha. Okay, he said, "Tan vene tanna chudum, ottayappan veeta chudum." It means whatever you do will only affect you. It will not affect. Okay, and another thing you should remember. This is not the same as that, but whenever we speak of somebody else, suppose I say I am speaking of Bitayan Roy Prabhu. It does not speak of Bitayan Roy, but it speaks more of me. It shows my character. If I am talking ill about somebody, it shows on me and not on the other person. Are you with me?
Yes, Mataji.
All these are mode of ignorance.
And the reaction, which if it works, then it would. And the reaction, which if it is not work, is very dangerous and very bad.
See, the thing is, very often what happens is we must always remember, whenever someone is talking ill about the other person, you need to understand.
No, I know this because in our West Bengal, it is really done, the tantric thing.
Okay. So whenever someone is speaking ill about somebody to us, remember that this person who is talking ill about somebody else to you will also talk about you to someone else tomorrow. That's how the cycle works. Okay. Anyway, ignore these people. Let's move forward. Simplicity and straightforwardness is one of the good qualities, which is what we need to learn to cultivate. Okay.
There is only one solution to this.
Yeah.
Bhakti of Krishna.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Who is this? Who said this?
Me, Prathamesh.
Prathamesh. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can someone read 17.5 and 6, please?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Please read, Mataji. 17.5.
Those who undergo self-austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride, egotism, lust, and attachment, who are impelled by passion and who torture their bodily organs as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as Janas. Hare Krishna.
So there are 3 things that you need to look at. Those who undergo severe austerity are not recommended. First of all, there is no such recommendation for us to put ourselves into so much of torture. These are all so-called Gurujis and Babajis that exist everywhere. There is no need for us to do all these kind of torture to our body. That is one. And then whoever does it, they are doing it just to prove a point to others, saying that they are great. If they come out, if this man who stuck his head underneath, if he comes out live, it's good. He's, if he comes out live, he'll be happy because I'm sure heart of heart he knows that he will not. But if he comes out, he gets name and fame. And he's just doing it what? Out of false ahankara and foolishness. Ahankaram is one thing. And normally you find whoever has an ego, they're actually fools. Because only a fool will have ahankara. Because where are you, the doer? When you read the Bhagavad Gita, we have come this far, we know that we are not the doer. Any action. Today, if I'm able to talk to you, if I'm able to recall what I read and able to discuss with you, it's because of some energy that I'm receiving from the energetic. Who am I? Am I doing it? Somebody is helping me to do it. You are sitting in your place wherever you are. Who are you? Someone has given you that energy to participate and to kind of, come regularly to these classes and discuss and think. So where does that come from? It has to come from somewhere. And who is that somewhere? Where is it somewhere? That somewhere is what God is. That is the absolute truth. If the absolute truth were not to be there, not the existence itself will be null. Okay. So the first thing is First of all, such things are not recommended. See, anything that puts pressure on your body. For instance, we have a lot of these vratas and all we follow, right? Where people don't eat anything the whole day for 12 hours, 24 hours, and then, open their fast. It's good as long as your health permits you. Don't do anything out of force. In fact, in the good old days, many of these vrat and all used to be done by, people who are very elderly in the family, who probably did not go out and they were mostly inbound. They were able to do it. But now if you see, we're also, we have to travel a lot. We have a lot of issues. Nothing happens, easily for us. We are constantly, we are constantly bogged down by several things that, that take away our time. So unless your health permits, don't do anything which actually puts you in torture. Okay, that's number one. And in very many of these vratas these days, in ISKCON, we have a lot of our associates. They do Ekadashi. Some of them do even Nirjala Ekadashi. We always tell them, please, when you're doing this Ekadashi, you can eat fruits. You can eat, milk. Milk is so good for health. You can have milk, you can have fruits. And some people, and we only tell them don't have grains. So you can have, fruits and milk. And
in Nirjala Ekadashi, we cannot drink.
No, Indian. That's what I'm saying. Don't get to the Nirjala if your body doesn't support. Suppose, say you're someone with some, possible some, issues in the kidney. So such a person should not enter into this. Suppose, say you're a patient of BP, because we don't know what we have these days in us, right? Because I tried, doing this fasting and all this stuff. It didn't suit me because I'm perpetually, on the lower side of my blood pressure. Perpetually, right from time immemorial that I know of myself. I cannot stay hungry for long. I have to immediately, go and eat. It's not necessary that you need to have only sugar to constantly be eating it. Even low BP can also affect you. It will completely, take you away. So watch your health. Do anything which is your health permits. If your health doesn't permit it, God is not asking for all this. Okay, God only wants our love and affection. He said this long time back in the previous chapters that we read. All that he wants is love and affection and our bhakti. He's always. So what Prabhupada says is we need to remember that the super soul is also there within us. We have our Jivatma and we also have our super soul staying with us. So when we torture ourselves, we are torturing the super soul within us. So how can you put the super soul into? We should always remember whenever we are doing anything. Remember that the God is with me always. So what I am doing, am I really, ensuring that I'm not going to be put into shame and I'm not going to be, taken to, this would affect my, my final, destination. So remember that. So Prabhupada says, the God is with. So who are we to, put the Lord into torture? What right do we have to do that? So therefore, severe austerities are not recommended, and people who perform them are simply performing it out of pride, lust, and attachment. And the third one, he says, the super soul is dwelling within us, and therefore we need to take care of the super soul as well. It's just not enough to take care of yourself. You need to always remember the super soul is also there with you, who you have to take care, because he is with you. He is within your body. Okay.
Then we should do Ekadashi or no?
It depends on do it if your health permits.
No, if I start doing Ekadashi from this age, then I can continue it.
You try, Bitay and Prabhu. Okay, it's not nothing like it's not got with age. I know a lot of people even at 70s and 75 plus are doing Ekadashi. I know an auntie who lives. In my apartment, she is 85. She still does Ekadashi and all that. So it depends. What I'm saying is, don't do anything which is beyond you. Do anything which is within your within your bodily acceptance, limits of bodily acceptance. What God is saying is don't torture yourself. And Ekadashi, you can have fruits and milk and all that stuff. You don't have to starve.
In Ekadashi, I eat cow rice.
What you have?
Crown rice.
Actually, rice is not recommended. I think
No, it is not a rice. It is called crowned rice. Means
millets, huh? Millet.
that type only. I do
Ah,
not know.
okay. Whatever suits you. Yeah, but ensure that you are not, starving yourself to falling sick. Don't do that. Okay. Can someone read 7.8 to 10? It talks about the foods, the kind of foods we eat in the three modes. 17.8 to 17.10.
Foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purifies one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such nourishing foods are sweet, juicy, tasting. What is written? Juicy?
Fattening.
Oh, fattening and palatable.
Yeah, just hold, Prabhuji. So that is the first verse. So, this is predominantly, we are being warned here to stay away from killing any jivatmas. So this is having any kind of flesh, let it be that of a bird or an animal or an aquatic being. So he says, have nourishing fruits. And which are these nourishing fruits? These are the vegetables and all kinds of grains and spices, and pulses. Okay. Milk is what is fattening. Anything, and all these foods are sweet, are nice, are tasty, are juicy, and they're actually easily digestible, because our human body, the juices, the digestive juices we have, can digest these things easily. So when anyone has anything other than this, actually it cannot. It will have a lot of counter effects, and you would also know a lot of people how, based on their, as they age and depending on the various health conditions that they undergo, they ultimately end up in having these foods. So why not start it from the beginning so that you never get into a stage like that? Can you read the next one, Prabhuji? Foods that are too bitter.
Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, pungent, dry, and hot are liked by peoples in the mode of passion.
Yeah, so the people who are there in the mode of passion automatically like food which are acidic, which are heat producing, and which actually harms them in their to their health, and also shows up on their behavior. The next one, Prabhuji, such foods.
Mataji, what is palatable?
Palatable is something which is very tasty, which is nice and eatable.
Okay. Such food cause pain, distress, and disease.
Yeah.
Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, salt, stale, putrid,
yeah.
decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah, so those people who actually are very lazy, who can't cook fresh food, who completely run after all kinds of fast food and things like that, would come under this category. And who are these people? These are people in the mode of ignorance, lazy people, indolent people. So the spread that you see there, that's a sattvic meal, which is typically served in most of the nice occasions that we have. And also many families, have these kind of foods on a regular basis. And having food on a plantain leaf is very, very healthy. But of course, many of us don't have access to that. But have food which is really nice, juicy, and vegetables and fruits and, grains and pulses, which are really healthy. And there are very many great players who actually live on, vegetarian food, and they do so well for themselves. So why not have this incorporated in our day-to-day life? Because we are ordinary. We are not doing any of those kind of heavy work like animals. A lion and a tiger has to eat the kind of food that it has to eat. Are we jumping around and are we pouncing on others that we need to eat that kind of food? No. So eat nice food, and that will really keep you in that sattvic mode. Okay.
Mataji, those who are working in office, if he or she cooked before the day going to office, if he or she eats that food, it is good or bad, because he do not get any time, no?
No, whatever food you have it simple. If you don't have time to cook, at least carry some salads and fruits and those kind of things. That is always easy. You can always cut it fresh and have it anytime, any day, any time and anywhere. Okay. Instead of going after these kind of foods like Cheetos and all they've put here, those kind of things are not good, because God knows, how many days before that they did, and they add all kinds of masala. They say, expiry good before this date, but you buy them and keep them for 2 days and eat it on the 4th day, you will know the taste will completely change. And this cheese, how long it's cured, it's kept for many, it's made from nice paneer and stuff like that. And then they press hard and they make it hard and they keep it. You see the way cheese is made. You need that kind of food? No. Right? Make fresh paneer at home and have it. Ayo, I hate this. Look at that, little worms. Because that's how it decomposes, no? Yeah.
Yes.
No. We don't want that. Right?
Mataji, first I used to like all the fast food stuff and all masala kind of things. But like since 6 or 7 months, I don't like having too much masala and fast.
What's the reason, Mataji?
I don't know. It's like internally. I don't know.
You're turning very sattvic. Keep it. Hari bol. Keep it up, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
17. 1 second. We have how many verses? Yeah, 17.11. 17.11, Mataji. Can you read?
Yes, Mataji. Of sacrifices, that sacrifice performed according to duty and to scriptural rules and with no expectation of reward is of the nature of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So the previous 3 shlokas, 17.8 to 17.10, we saw the foods in the 3 modes. The foods that the sattvic guna people will like, the foods consumed by the rajaguna, and the foods consumed by those in the tamasic mode. Okay. Now the next 17.11, 12 and 13, he's going to talk about sacrifices. Sacrifices means performing things to propitiate the goodwill of the various modes of worships that are there. So of the sacrifice, that sacrifice performed according to whatever is performed as per the scriptural rules is in the nature. Anything which you do, for example, when you do a certain festival or a certain kriya karma, as long as you do it well within the rule book of the scriptures, because the scriptures have set things for the goodness and the welfare of mankind, right? So anything we do within that, he says that shows that the person is in the mode of goodness. And why does he say that? We will know when we go to the other shlokas. Okay. Can you read 17.12, somebody?
But the sacrifice performed for some material end or benefit or performed ostentatiously out of pride is is of the nature of passion. O chief of Bharata.
So you understood? The same yagna, when it is performed for the sake of purification, for the sake of, really, doing it for the Lord, then that yagna, that sacrifice is as per the scripture, and people in the mode of goodness do it for the love of God and really from a devotional angle. But the moment you do it for the sake of something, for instance, very many of us, even in my house, we have also done it. Whenever, we have some good function coming about, we do a certain havan at home, because we think, all the things that we do has to go very well. It is with a desire. When you do it with a desire, it means you are in the nature of Rajaguna. And I think many of us do that. Before a shadi in the house, we do something. But that is still okay when you just do it with only that intention. But today, if you see, when people do these kind of pujas, they make it such a big affair, and it all goes by the size and the number of people who come and where you do this havan and who's the who comes for these pujas. All that matters. When you do it with a sense of pride, when you do it with a sense of showing off, that is Rajaguna. But if you really do it with the real good intention of seeking the Lord's support and seeking the Lord's goodwill and good wishes, then that is Sattva Guna. Are you with me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Now look at the next one. And that sacrifice performed in defiance of scriptural injunctions, in which no spiritual food is distributed, no hymns are chanted, and no remunerations are made to the priest, and which is faithless, that sacrifice is of the nature of ignorance. For example, these are the things what are all the demonic people used to do, all the demons, they used to really, put in a lot of pressure and austerity, and just to put them into a lot of trouble to kind of, get the various boons from the various gods. And these
Mataji,
people,
we can say that they blackmail God.
They in a way they blackmail God. In a way, they do things which is basically in the realm of selfishness and greed. Okay, and see, it's very important when we do these things. There were also a lot of the various varnas we had, right? So when we do these kind of pujas, it is meant to have good brahmanas at our homes, chant those nice hymns, and we need to also give them remuneration or give them dhanam very wholeheartedly. I know very many people spend very many lakhs of rupees on a lot of showing, and they build huge palace like things for for the weddings, but when it comes to giving that dhanam to that brahmana who helps you with the havan, and they become very miser and stingy there. They will go and buy expensive sari. They'll have the haute couture kind of clothings for all the family members and everything else. But when it comes to giving dakshina to the brahmana, they kind of they really sit and do some bargaining there, and then they blame the brahmana. Oh, the brahmana is asking for a lot of money. I've experienced this with many people. Anyway, 17.14, he says, Devad Vijay Guru Prajna, Pujanam Saucham Arjavam, Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha, Shariram Tapa Uchyate. The next three shlokas is going to talk about the austerity of the austerities, the prudence and the habits. So the austerity of the body consists in this worship of the Supreme, the brahmanas, the spiritual master, and the superior like father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence are also the austerities of the body. So we need to cultivate good habits. We must definitely look up to the Lord, who's all pervading and everywhere. And we must, pay our obeisances to our parents. Without their sacrifices, we couldn't have come up to the stage where we are. Then to all our gurus and all our sadhu jana. And how does this happen? It can only happen when you maintain cleanliness externally and internally, live a simple life. And celibacy means not indulging in sexual activities other than what is there in the scripture, which means when you get into the grihastha ashram, having one partner, that's what it means. It's not about having multiple partners and infidelity and things like that. Actually doesn't lead you anywhere. And non-violence, these are all austerities. These are all good habits which are needed for us to keep our body and our mind and intellect in good in a good frame. Okay.
Mataji, what is celibacy?
Celibacy means non-indulgence in sexual activity.
Okay.
And for a sannyasi, it is completely abstaining from sexual activity. Okay. So now he's going to talk about austerity of speech. Can someone read? Okay, I'll read the shloka. Someone wants to read the shloka?
Mataji, I'll try.
Try. Come.
Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam cha yat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva
Very good.
vanmayam tapa uchyate.
Very good. Read, Mataji.
Okay. Austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficially and in avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly. Hare Krishna.
Recently, I was attending a lecture of one Prabhuji. He was saying, I believe the tongue is in our mouth, and our mouth also has the teeth. And the teeth are 32 in number, whereas the tongue is 1 in number. I believe the teeth laughed at the tongue and said, hey, 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 you are just one in number. Look, we are 32 in number. I mean, this is for those who have 32 teeth, okay? So, hey, 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 we have 32 teeth. And I believe, and it seems the teeth said, we will chew you up, and nothing of you will remain. So I believe the tongue said, if I say one thing wrong, all your teeth will be smashed up. So therefore, austerity, discipline, and prudence in speech is very important, because anything that you say cannot be taken back. If something falls, you can always take it back. Anything which is said once cannot be taken back. All our, politicians and all, they say something. They say, oh, it was taken out of context. What do you mean out of? You say something and then you say out of context. Suddenly it becomes, when there is a problem, they'll say, oh, it was taken out of context. Right? So therefore, reciting the Vedas will actually help us to kind of make sure that we are careful, sensitive, and mindful. Okay? 17.16, and serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind. The mind is so fickle mind, very, very fickle. It keeps wandering. You have to really keep it in control. Otherwise, it can play havoc in your life. And here there's an example of, that is Sukadeva Goswami and his father is Vyasadeva. I think Sukadeva Goswami was in his mother's womb for 16 years because he didn't want to come out, because he said, no, if I come out, the world outside is Dukhalaya. So finally, the God himself had to come and request him to come out, because, the mother was unable to bear the pain. So when he came out, he just ran away. He didn't even stay in the house for a second. He ran away into the forest, and he was completely naked. He was a fully grown up boy. He was naked. He ran away. And as he was running, he had to, go past all these lakes and all where all these young women and all were bathing. But when they saw Sukadeva Goswami, he was so radiant and, absolutely, looking gorgeous. But none of them felt anything, because, looking at him, they knew that here was a divine person who was passing by, who's not looking at them. Whereas when Vyasadeva came running, because he also came running and his clothes were going here and there, all the women went back into the river and started closing themselves. I mean, they started, hiding themselves. So Vyasadeva found it very funny. After that, when the women and all, after they, dressed and came out, Vyasadeva went to them and asked them, when this naked boy went, none of you felt anything. But when I came, all of you went and hid yourself. Why? They said, we found that other boy to be holy, whereas we didn't see that holiness in you. You're getting me? So therefore, the serenity and simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought is very, very important, because people can easily make out who has all the goodness in him and who doesn't have. So this again goes back to the earlier verses where we said, when one has these good qualities, this person is liked by all, and this person likes everyone, and everybody likes this person. Okay? 17.7.
It can be possible.
Huh?
It can be possible.
It is possible. Why not possible? Of course, none of us can do what Sukadeva Goswami was a different person with the different order. We can't do what Sukadeva Goswami did. But when you have good habits, when you speak nicely, when you use nice words, when all your dealings are clean, don't you think you will have faith and trust in that person?
Yes.
It's not.
बस उतना ही है. So 17.17, Shraddhaya Paraya Taptam Tapastat Trividam Naraiha Afalak Kankshibir Yuktaihi Satvikam Parichakshate. It means the threefold austerity practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit for themselves materially, but to please the Supreme, is in the nature of goodness. So whatever we do, and anything and everything we do, it has to be for the Supreme. Whenever we are doing anything with that frame, we are said to be in the nature of goodness, because we're not doing it for ourselves. We are not doing anything for our own benefit. We are doing it because we want to ultimately, attain the Supreme Lord. who's there within our hearts, and whose abode is where we want to ultimately reach. Okay, so all these kind of parikramas and all these kind of holy dhams really give you that kind of a strength to be able to withstand the vagaries of material world, and help us to stay in the holy frame, and help us to get out of this material attachments. Okay. 17.80 Satkara mana pujartam tapo dhambena chaivayat kriyate tat iha proktam rajasam chalam adruvam. It means what? Those ostentatious penances and austerities which are performed to gain respect, honor, reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. They are neither stable nor permanent. Very simple, right? Anything which we do, any kind of activity we do to gain the attention of others and for others to praise us, and then to show our superiority over others is in the mode of passion. And these things are not stable, because there will always be someone else who will show that they are better off than us. Then we lose that status which we think we got it, right? So anything we would do with the with pride and ahankaram, and just for the sake of showing off, it is not permanent, because it can't be permanent, right? So muda grahenatmanah yat vidaya kriyata tapah parasyot sadhanartam va tat tamasam udhartam. And those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture or to destroy, injure others are said to be. This answers your question of all this black magic. Anything which you do to destroy yourself or to destroy others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. And it can never ever touch you or hamper you or even, pass by. Just remember that. Yes, Mother, yes, Prabhuji.
Example is Hiranyakashipu.
Yes, Hiranyakashipu, exactly. Whatever he did a lot of all that, and ultimately what happened? Right? He had to fall. So fall is always destined for anyone who is in the frame of self-pride, ego, greed, and anything, where you kind of do things for your own selfish need is never sustainable. 17.2 Datavyam iti yad danam diyate anupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha tad danam satvikam asmritam. So that gift, see, danam, even charity also needs to be given with a lot of thought. That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person, mark that, to a worthy person, and without expectation of return, is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. See, some people give charity, and when they give charity, you find a lot of people taking photographs. Oh, and they put it up in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere. You saw that happening during the COVID times, right? They would go and give some ration to some needy person, and then take a picture and post it on WhatsApp and everywhere else. That is not anyway close to goodness. Really a sincere person does it because you do it because you want to do it for someone who is in need, and at a time when it has to be done. When the person needs something, to give that person help and support at that time is more important than going and giving something because you want to fulfill some prarthana of yours. It doesn't work that way. And also you should not, when I help somebody, don't expect anything back from them. Very often we say, oh, that person was ungrateful. Haven't you heard that? I did so much for that person, but that person was so ungrateful. Why? Why did you even do it if you wanted that person to show you gratitude? Correct? So charity given out of duty without expectation return at the proper time and place is what is important. But charity performed with expectation. So this is what I told you, during the COVID times, I'm sure many of you saw this happening, right? Everybody posting pictures of what they did for somebody. And then third, and charity performed at an improper place. The opposite. improper place and time given to unworthy persons without respect, who don't respect what you're giving, and with contempt to charity, is contempt of charity is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. For example, when I don't know, you'll find this, if any of you have traveled abroad, you'll find a lot of these kind of people, they have all kinds of, they would have pricked all parts of their body, and they'll be sitting with cigars and, with bottles and stuff like that, and needles and syringes. And this is what they say. Okay. So we shouldn't be helping people who don't deserve. So basically what this means is help to a deserving candidate or a deserving person, and make sure you're not expecting anything for the help that you render. Okay. So from the beginning of the creation, the 3 syllables Om Tat Sat, you will always find, even our Matajis who come and recite things, they always end the chapter with Om Tat Sat. What does Om mean? Om indicates that supreme absolute. That's why all our prayers always start with Om. That refers to the Brahman. Om is a vibration which is responsible for the creation. They were uttered by the Brahmanas while chanting the Vedic hymns during the sacrifices and for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Because you're completely, surrendering everything to the Supreme. So you're saying, hey, Supreme, you are the person from whom everything has come, and therefore you call upon the Supreme, so that the Supreme's blessing is always there with you. Supreme's guidance is all there with you. And Tat means that. Om Tat Sat. Tat is that. And who is that? That Tat is the Lord, Supreme Brahman, the Paramatma, the Bhagavan himself. And what is Sat? Sat means eternal. So we say Om Tat Sat means we are completely surrendering and calling upon that eternal Lord, who is the Supreme and who is the absolute truth. Okay. So from the beginning of creation, the 3 words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These 3 symbolic representations were used by the Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifice for the satisfaction of the supreme Brahman or the supreme absolute truth. Okay. Okay. Does somebody want to read this translation, please? 24. Hare Krishna.
Thus the transcendentalists undertake sacrifices, charities, and penances, beginning always with Om to attain the Supreme.
Yeah.
Om means Vishnu. It
Yeah.
is placed at the beginning of Vedic hymns to indicate the supreme goal. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the transcendentalists are those people who have completely, who are on the path of getting onto the Suddha Sattvika Guna. And these people always, whatever they do, everything is for the Lord, and they call upon the Lord Om with the syllable Om to show their worship, and as well as their submission and their devotion and affection to the Lord. Mataji, can you read 25 as well?
Yes, Mataji. One should perform sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from the material entanglement. Tat
Tatvamasi. Yeah.
That describes detached work for the sake of liberation. These activities are done with disregard for material pleasure. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So whatever we do, we must do it for the Lord. We should not do it for our own benefit, and as well as, thinking of ourselves to be the doer. Whenever you do anything, think of the Lord and say that you're doing it because of the power that the Lord has given you. Okay. So you cannot forget the existence of the absolute truth, and that absolute truth, unless we kind of make up our mind to completely surrender ourselves to that absolute truth without envy, without any doubt in our mind, and without having any kind of a pride, that is the state in which we will be able to transcend these modes of nature that are constantly waiting to attract us. The absolute truth is the objective of the devotional service. So whatever we do is for the absolute truth. He is the Brahman, and what we offer is Brahman. Okay. And it's indicated by the word Sat, because Sat, Lord, is eternal, and we are also an eternal part of that eternal Lord. We need to remember that. So therefore, these works of sacrifice, of penance and charity, true to the absolute nature, are performed by the eternal Jivatma to the eternal supreme absolute truth. Okay? But the sacrifices, austerities, and charities performed without faith in the Supreme are non-permanent. Anything which you do, which is not for the Lord, is impermanent. O son of Pritha, regardless of whatever rites are performed, they are called asat and are useless both in this life and next life. Okay? So we must always do things which will carry us, which will always be permanent with us and will carry us to our next birth. And also, help us to kind of quickly complete our cycles of birth so that we never ever have to come back into this material existence whenever the Lord keeps creating them, as and when, every yuga gets over, a new yuga comes. So we don't want to get into this. We want to finish completely, very quickly finish our life and birth in this yuga and don't want any more life and birth in the subsequent creations of Lord. Okay, so this was the chapter that we discussed today. It's a short chapter, a sweet chapter. Okay. So anybody, any thoughts? Any thoughts? Any comments?
I've learned
Chapter, right?
how to the way of charity, way of giving charity.
Yes, Mataji?
I've learned that what is the proper way of giving charity.
Yeah. They must give something. As the Lord has always said, anything which has met your requirement, and when you have more than what you need for yourself, for your family, you must help others, and you must also help those people who are helping us to kind of get this God conscious in us, those in the service of the Lord. We must also help and encourage the growth of such institutions and people who are helping to spread the good knowledge that are there in the scriptures. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So tomorrow is the last chapter. It's going to be a summary of all the 17 chapters we studied. So please don't miss the chapter. It's a nice chapter.
Mataji, when is level 2 going to start?
I thought somebody was supposed to come today and talk to you all about the level 2 course and all that.
Yes, Mataji. Actually, Mataji is going to come, but she's not here yet.
She's going to come?
Don't know, Mataji.
You don't know? Okay. None of them have come. So we'll just wait 8:06. We'll wait till 8:10 and then we will disperse. Is that okay, everyone? Hare Krishna?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
So tomorrow is our is the 18th chapter, as I said. It's called the conclusion. Beautiful. It's called conclusion. The perfect renunciation. What does it mean for us to completely detach ourselves, and what does detachment mean? The Lord explains in I think 78 verses, if I remember. 74, 78 verses. It's a long one, but it goes very swiftly because it's a summary. In fact, many people say that the Bhagavad Gita ends in 17th chapter. The 18th chapter is a complete summary. See, our scriptures were so beautiful. It starts with a theme, it sticks to the theme, and then it recaps, it does the recap of the theme, and then goes to the next theme. If you really saw the flow of the Bhagavad Gita, let me pick up my small book and tell you how it. Where is my small book? Yeah. If you look at this, the flow. Actually, if I do it today, then I'm almost like covering what we will read tomorrow. But anyway, so the first chapter was all about the yoga of dejection, the dilemma that Arjuna had, right? The second chapter was the knowledge. And what was that knowledge? That knowledge was all about that we are jivas and we are an eternal part of the Lord and we are not the body. The second one, it talked about the action. Therefore, how should you act? What should you do? How should you conduct yourself? And why is this? What should we do? We can't just say, okay, I'm a Jivatma, and anyway, the super soul is with me, and I won't do anything. Super soul will take care. No, the Lord says we must all act, right? And then he also, somewhere he kind of recognizes that people want to know where is all this coming from. So then he says, it has always existed. The scriptures have always propounded theories that we all have to do our karma. Because karma is what has brought us to where we are, and karma is what will help us to get liberation as well. And therefore he gives us the knowledge of the origin of the scriptures, of which he is the author himself. Then he talks about the the difference between the Sankhya Yoga and the Karma Yoga. He says, just having knowledge alone will not do. You need to have the knowledge, and with the knowledge you must do your activity in such a way so that you understand and do it in a way that you are not the doer, but the doer is all Lord, and you give the fruits of all your gainful activities to the Lord. And if some things don't go well, we need to understand that it is the Lord's will, and which means that we need to put in more effort, or there is a lesson that the Lord wants to teach us through our experiences. It means both for good and as well as the bad. And then he talked about self-control, because unless we have that self-control, it's highly impossible for us to do our duties well. Why? Because the mind is highly wavering. The mind has to be kept in control, and what makes the mind wavers the mind is the sense organs or the sense gratification desires. And therefore, with the mind, control your senses and control your mind with your intellect. Then he talked about just jnana alone will not do. Jnana, he's talked about jnana, he talked about karma. He says just jnana will not do, but when you do your karma, ensure that you are executing or implementing or doing things based on the jnana that you have acquired. And then after that, he spoke about the importance of the various kind of things that happen around. There are some things which are in control, some things which are more naturally driven, and some things which are more at the spiritual realm. And then he spoke about the secret, the guhyatara, right? He described the various motives that are attached by people in each of their activities that they do. And then he spoke about the bhakti yoga and what can bhakti actually deliver to us. It leads to deliverance of our material desires and also to seek the supreme Brahman. And then after that, he showed the universal form. He said how he is the creator of everything and how everything originates from him. And he goes through that. And he also, that chapter also leaves us with a message saying that the impersonal form of the Lord and as well as the universal form of the Lord is not really conducive for a bhakti marga. What is conducive and what is easy and what is more pleasing is the Bhagavan Rupam of the Lord, which is Lord Krishna himself, who is the Mahavishnu. He came with his complete energy, and as Mahavishnu, he came down to this earth as Krishna, the Dwapara Yuga. Then he also spoke about the yoga of devotion. Why yoga of devotion why devotion is needed for us to cross over the samsara sagara. And then he also spoke about the kshetra and kshetragna. Then afterwards we saw the gunas, and then the chapter from there onwards, everything was related to the guna. Okay, up until this chapter that we read, it's all about how the gunas force us to work in a certain action, and therefore it is your own self-realization and as well as your own, you need to take stock of what you do and how you're doing it, and you need to evaluate your strengths, and the strengths are given. What are the strengths? The divine qualities give us the strength. Those are the strengths. So those are the things that we must aim for. And while there are 26 qualities which are divine, there are 6 qualities which are of that which leads us to ignorance, and therefore we should have a strong guard in ourselves to keep our mind away from these 6 demonic or the asura qualities. Can you imagine 6 and 26, and then we go after 6 and then we make a wreck of our life? I don't think we need to do that, right? So this is, I gave you a quick run through all the chapters we did. So Amrita Mataji, is it okay? Because
I am calling Harshali Mataji, but Mataji didn't respond yet.
So should we end the class?
Give me 5 minutes, Mataji.
Another 5 minutes. Can everybody wait for 5 minutes, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, great. So is there anything that you all want to discuss amongst yourselves or say something? I'll do one thing. I'll stop the live stream now so that you can discuss more freely. You can come on camera and see each other. Okay. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram